Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Kara, and whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. It is another day of Frizzmas. I can't tell you all how happy I am to be doing this year. I just needed a little push and I'm here and I am gonna make it happen, y'all. So today we are talking about 10 eyeshadow palettes that I feel give some holiday vibes. So if you wanna see the 10 palettes, keep on watching this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any of these. Some are new, some are old, and some are remixed. I'll tell you what that means when we get to them. If makeup is your therapy, if it's your passion, your love, and you just want to, I don't know, watch a channel where you feel like you're just talking to a friend, we're hanging out, I got kids here and there. I really enjoy this so much and I hope you feel it too. So if you love that, consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. Okay, y'all, so these palettes are not in any particular order. So we're gonna start with number one. Well, what other number would we start with? This is the Catching the Naughty palette by Notoriously Morbid. Now, I was sent this palette by Notoriously Morbid, but it is such a good palette, and Notoriously Morbid is one of my favorite indie brands, so I'm just so thankful to be connected with them. So this is the outside. You know, this might not be everyone's cup of tea with the outer packaging, but the inside. Look at this palette, you guys. And you know, I love that they still stay so true to their brand aesthetic, but they still gave us a holiday palette with multi-chromes and duochromes and all the chromes. Let me swatch a few shades. Crumpus Schnapps, that's this shade right here. I love that shade. I remember using this shade on like the first inner third of my eye look. It's a great inner corner shade. It could be all over the lid shade. I love it. Heathen is another beautiful green shimmer. Look at that. Punishing Yuletide, it's a beautiful blue. And this one actually has a little duochrome flip that you might not be able to see. Grub Von Crumpus. Very similar to one of the shades I'm wearing now. It's kind of like this green to a brownish red duochrome shade. I love this palette. I think this is the 5th palette I have by them and I have never been disappointed. So this was definitely going to be on the list for holiday palettes. Number 2, which is probably another obvious choice, is the Christmas Morning Palette by Give Me Glow Cosmetics. I am gonna be pulling this out to do some looks with soon because Give Me Glow, I think these are pressed pigments. You really have to work with the shadows a certain way. And when I first started using my Give Me Glow palettes, I don't know if it was the brushes, if it was my technique, or if it was my primer, but the looks would come out great, but I just didn't have the best experience using it. And recently I pulled out one of their palettes, the Vivid Rose palette, and it worked beautifully. Like I had not an issue at all. So I'm wondering, do I need to use different brushes or switch up, you know, how I use their formulas? So I can't wait to pull this one back out. But here's the palette. This is definitely a Christmas morning palette and I love their shimmers. Their shimmers are gorgeous. Let me show you a few of them. So this one is Gifts Galore. I mean, they are extremely, extremely rich. Sometimes almost too pigmented. Like you may want to use a glitter primer for these because they can be so pigmented that sometimes they flake off. Let me just swatch all 4. Stocking Stuffers is the red shimmer. I mean, and this is one swipe. Gorgeous. Pajamas is a beautiful gold. And then Santa's Sleigh is a silver. I cannot wait to bring this palette back out and revisit it and see how I'm feeling about Give Me Glow as a whole. But the Vivid Rose palette really worked well. So I think if I use this one in the same way, I am gonna be really happy to have this one in my collection. So that's number 2. Number 3 it. Natasha Denona Circo Loco. And I hesitate on this one because this is not one of my favorite Natasha Denona palettes at all. And it was so not a favorite of mine that I remixed it and had to change it up. And I think that the way it is now, I think I like it. Now, I'm trying to think about what I did because I already had reorganized the palette. Let me just show it to you. So this is my Circo Loco palette. I took out one of the mattes. It was like a pastel pink, really, really light. I just was never ever gonna use it. I used it in my demo and I was like, no ma'am, not gonna use that shade. So I got rid of it, as well as some of the other shades. What I did add in was some neutrals from other palettes. Some 5 pans that I had, and I like this better. I like the layout better, and I can see looks better. I also took out the shade Spiral, which was the cream to powder orange shade. I just felt like it didn't need 2 orange shimmers at all. So I'm happy with this palette. I have not used it since I changed it. When I think of holiday, I don't necessarily think of Christmas. I just think of palettes that are festive. I could get a beautiful look for an outing, a New Year's party that I won't be attending. This just reminds me of a palette where you can just have a lot of fun with and create some colorful looks. So that is number 3 on the list. Now, palette number 4 is not an eyeshadow palette. I might have said eyeshadow palettes, or maybe I just said palettes. But this is the Low Lights palette from Alien Cosmetics. They are now Unearthly Cosmetics. This is a beautiful highlighter palette. And here's what it looks like on the inside. I chose this because I think if you're going somewhere, and I think around holiday time, those are like fun times where you might want a colorful highlighter or a duochrome highlighter or something that really makes you look unearthly, that really makes you stand out. And this is the highlighting palette to do so. These are not your everyday highlighters. So these are the highlighters right here from the Low Lights palette, and they're gorgeous. They really stand out. They make you look, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but galactic. Yes, they're like galactic highlighters. I'm just thinking, like, if you're going to a New Year's Eve party or a Christmas party, 'cause I know some people are still going to parties, you know what I'm saying? And you might have to have a mask on, but you can still see that highlight. So I just thought, you know, hey, why not stand out in the way we can? Do you see how big these pans are? They're huge. They're gonna last me a lifetime. I thought it was a creative release from Unearthly Cosmetics this year. So palette number 4 goes to Bronze Temptation by Pat McGrath. I will never forget Mel Thompson showing this palette in one of her videos. I think this was her favorite 6 pan. And when I saw this, I found it. I went and found it on Mercari. I think this screams holiday. And if you have the Celestial Odyssey palette, I believe one of these shades is a repeat. It's the shade Corruption. This is also in the Star Wars palette. This is one of the palettes, because you know Pat McGrath, she doesn't do a whole lot of greens. And here you have this foresty green shade. You have Corruption, which is this red to gold duochrome. The other shades are neutrals, but these 2 shades, I think they really stand out in the palette. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it's Pat McGrath. This and the Give Me Glow palette, these are my 2 really Christmassy palettes. I just think they totally give you Christmas morning vibes. I'm so glad to have Bronze Temptation in my collection. I definitely need to pull this out and work with it soon. So that was number 4. Oh, wait a minute. So that was palette number 5. Palette number 6 goes to one of my Dior Quints, and this is Black Bow. I don't know why I loved this one so much. I think I loved it so much because I expected to not love it, just because of the color story. I don't really gravitate towards cool tones, and this is definitely a cool toned palette here. But with that being said, I think this palette is like totally glam. I think it's really special. And I do like Dior, but some of the things that I purchased, I realized I wasn't really purchasing because I like them. It was just because I was getting obsessed with getting these quints. So I sold the other ones that I had. Well, yeah, except one more. But yeah, this is Black Bow. Recently, I found my FOMO quint, the Birds of a Feather Nightbird, and I ended up getting that. So I will be sharing that soon, one of my FOMO finds, because I thought it was gone and I found it. I'm so happy. Like every once in a while with the luxury stuff, there are some things that I really do like, but I think when it comes to luxury, I need to make sure that I really like it. And I think that when these Dior quints were like the craze last year in 2020, I was just collecting, not necessarily liking what I was collecting. So, you know, that's not a good thing. And I realized I was doing that. So I want to make sure with luxury and indie that, you know, I'm buying it because I really like it and not because I'm just want to buy something or I'm trying to keep up with other people or whatever. Let me show you the swatches of this one. Okay, so I just used the palm of my hand, but look how pretty these are. They're very pigmented. I just feel like this is like such a nice palette where you can use this to like really create a silvery, smoky eye. And I really love this lavender shade that's in the palette as well. I think my favorite shade is this one here. It's like this gray, but it's so sparkly. And I don't know, I just think this is beautiful. That's one that will be staying. All right, you guys, so palette number 7 is gonna go to Radiant Reflection. And this was one of the palettes from the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collection. Look at the jewel tones in this palette. It's like a rainbow. There are just some gorgeous shades in this palette. This palette has 3 mattes, so you can kind of build your look around those. But I cannot wait to play with this one a little bit more. I just love how, like, if you want to go like blue green, you could do that. You could do purple pink. You could do kind of like this, what is this, like a mauve-y, neutrally almost with a little gold. Like you can just do so much, or you can mix them up. Like you could do so much with this palette. One of the standout shades are Starry Night, which is this beautiful blue. I don't know if that's cobalt, cerulean, I don't know. Look at that. Look how pretty that shade is. And Sydney Grace, like the quality. This, you know, when I did my eyeshadow formula ranking video, this is number 1 for me. It is just so consistent. Phosphines, look at that, like a little taupey shade. Such a consistent brand. I can buy from them and it's not like, I don't know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting every single time. And although I'm not buying eyeshadow singles right now, I will continue to look forward to their palettes. This was one of my favorite releases this year in 2021. Look at this shade right here, Sumptuous Serendipity. It's just beautiful. And I don't feel as though Sydney Grace has like all these different formulas. Like it is just, I said it in my video, they are like an anchor for my makeup collection. I can grab Enduring Love, I can grab my singles, I can grab one of these, I can grab Tiny Marbles. I am gonna get the same performance. It is like my rock. It's not like, I don't like how this performs. Oh, this was different in this palette. You don't get that with Sydney Grace, and I appreciate that so much about the brand. So that is palette number 8. I am going to go wash my hands off so I can show y'all some more swatches of the other 2. All right, you guys, I'm back. Palette number 8 is gonna go to none other than the Decadence palette by Pat McGrath. This one is in the Star Wars packaging, and I got this for a steal a while back. It is very rare that I do all shimmer looks. It's just not something that I do. I can do it, but I really don't. But this palette is an exception because this is an all shimmer palette. I do have a little bit of hard pan right here on one of my favorite shades, Divine Mink. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. Divine Mink is still divine, so I'm not worried about the hard pan. But this is one palette that I can truly say I don't mind creating an all shimmer look with this palette at all. No special shades in this palette. This palette is a dream for me because the metallics are my favorites by Pat McGrath. So, you know, I was hoping Utopian Dream would have been like an all shimmer palette with different colors. I did not get what I wanted, but I don't want to drudge up the past. This shade right here, Sterling, it is one of the most blinding silvers that I have used. It is gorgeous. We have the shade, I think this is Blue Blood. I'm almost sure this is Blue Blood. This is in Interstellar Icons. No, this is in Interstellar Icons, I'm right. Yes, this one right here. Just the richness of these shimmers, it's just gorgeous. And you can just use these shimmers the same way you would use a matte. Like, you just treat it the same way. I think this is second place in my Pat McGrath ranking. Like, I won't remove this from my number 2 ranking because I think it is a very unique mothership palette. None of her other motherships are like this or in this format where it's just the all metallics. So I'd love to see her do something like this again because this does inspire me to create an all shimmer look, but it's just not doing too much. I'm just swatching, I guess, all of it, but look at these. It's not the whole palette, but it's most of it. But look at the quality of these shimmers. They're beautiful. They're smooth. I don't know, and I've had this palette for about a year at this point. So even the hard pan Divine Mink shade is still in tip-top condition. So I love that for a holiday party look. Definitely like a New Year's Eve party, Christmas party, any party, really. Shoot. Let's move on to palette number 9. Now, palette number 9 is not an eyeshadow palette. It is a blush palette. And this is the Monarcha blush palette from the Amor y Mariposas collection by Melt Cosmetics. One of the products that I really have been loving by Melt are their blushes. Their blushes have been going strong with me for some time now. I have the 3 Digital Dust Duo blushes. I love all 3 of them. They are blushes that I reach for consistently. Their cream blushes are very good as well. And this palette is no different. Now, these are all the powder formula, but I just think this is great. Like, you've got some blushes here where you have some boldness to the blush. This shade here, Floor, this vibrant, like I don't know, Barbie pink. And then Conmingo, which is one of those deep brown blushes, deep terracotta. I've been really loving the brown blushes. In fact, I recently got the brown one by Patrick Ta, and it all started with 2 brown ColourPop blushes that I have, and I have been on it ever since. I love the browns. Now, the lighter blushes, these are kind of cool too because they have, some of them have a sheen to them. So what you can do is kind of mix and put like one of the mattes on with one of the sheens on top and just make new colors. So I think if you want to make any look stand out, or if you want your cheeks to be the highlight of your holiday look, like definitely using one of these would definitely do that. It would do that. And then if the blush is not, you know, your thing, you can always mute it down. I have not used this a whole lot yet, but when I thought about holiday palettes, you know, I was like, this one's great. So that's number 9 on the list. And number 10, last but certainly not least by any means, is the Beauty Bay Age of Opulence palette. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy this color story. This is one where I would not want to rearrange it. I just love how it looks. Now, what I love about this color story, because I have said that I am not really trying to buy these big palettes anymore. You can do a blue look, a purple look, a neutral look, or obviously you can match it up. I love brown and purple together. I love blue and brown together. The variations that you can make with this palette, I'm really loving that. I have only created three looks with this palette, but I look forward to using it more. This palette is a great palette for going out. The shimmers are so smooth and so beautiful. This is the shade Decadent, and I'm getting used to the Beauty Bay formula because this is only my second palette by them, but it's almost like you can push the shimmers in. It's almost like a putty situation. But I love like colors like these together, gorgeous. And what I also like about it is the price point. I believe I paid $20 for this, and I'm certain it went on sale for Black Friday. So this one's a good one, and the mattes are great too. Ooh, Amazon just came. Anyway, but here are just a few of the shimmers, and I love the contrast here. So that's it. Now, I do have other palettes that I could have added to the list, but these are the ones in my collection that spoke to me first. So I like to go with my gut, and I just wanted to share them with you. I'm at this point now where it's fun to kind of think about your collection and where the collection is going. You know, do I like everything in my collection? I can say for the palettes that I shared today, I'm still excited about them, and I would like to use them more. So I really need to kind of reel back so I can enjoy these beautiful, beautiful palettes. Because I mean, now don't get me wrong, I love just swatching them, but it's even better to use them. Unfortunately, I don't have any holiday events to go to. Maybe once this pandemic is over, I can be out in these streets a little bit more, but I won't be going to any parties except parties here that I have at my house that I make up. So that's what I'll be doing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me today on another day of Frizzmas. This is day 2, and we have many more days to go. So I hope you'll stick around and come back tomorrow. I hope this was therapy for you, because it always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself, talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.